Nice shirt, by the way. Okay, Cutie dressed me today. It's not my shirt. Cutie dressed me today. Today, me and Cutie went on a spa date. Because if you don't know anything, if you never watched Cutie streams, you don't know anything about my girlfriend. She walks around the world like this. She walks around the entire world like this. And what this does is it creates an insane amount of tension in her shoulders. And I've touched her shoulders, and it feels what? Like rock. I have to look at her, and I sometimes I look at her, I do this. I'll literally go like this. And then I'll see her shoulders unfurl. And by the way, I'm dough back here, okay? So I hate getting massages. I don't enjoy it because every time I get a massage, I'm like, ow, ooh, ah, they're getting too deep. They're getting too deep in my doughy body. But she loves them because it's the one time where she relaxes, where she has relief in her shoulders. So we decided to do a spa date, right? Because I've been traveling quite a bit. We thought it'd be nice to spend a little afternoon together, get some lunch, go to the spa. And she booked everything, okay? I won't lie. She was kind of my pay princess. I was the little piggy. I was a little piggy following her around. I was just having a good time. But I didn't realize what I'd signed up for. Because what I didn't realize is the spa she booked. Now, she told me the spa. The spa is the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I said, cool. I know that's in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills. Now, although it's true, I have lived in Los Angeles for about 7 years now. I've never really been to Beverly Hills. In fact, the only time I've ever been to Beverly Hills is I had a friend who lived there. I went to his house a few times. And Rodeo Drive, which if you don't know is like 5th Avenue in New York, but the Los Angeles equivalent. It's just a bunch of fancy stores. And when I first moved to LA, I went there to go window shopping, not buy anything, and leave. And I thought, this place is fucking boring as hell. So I've never been to Beverly Hills proper. I didn't even know what Beverly Hills Hotel was. So when I was ready this morning to leave, Cutie comes downstairs. She literally does this to me. Okay, you're me, I'm her. She comes in downstairs, she goes, you can't go like that. I was wearing white sweatpants and an oversized Legolas shirt from Lord of the Rings. And here's what I did. I switched my pants because I went, that makes sense. You can't wear sweatpants. So I switched to regular slacks. And then I said, okay, let's go. And she said, I said you can't wear that. And I went, I changed. And she said, you can't wear a graphic tee. And I'm like, what is this, communist China? What is this, Mao Zedong's hotel? 1984? Do I have no freedom? It's just rich people shit, apparently. So, I'm looking around for an outfit, which is when I realized she's already figured this out. She already knew I was going to be unprepared, and she pulled out an outfit for me, and she dressed me. And you were watching, this is the shirt I was wearing. And I basically look like a model for, what's that company that sells shorts for frat boys who like to go to yachts? Vineyard Vines. Yes, I look like a Vineyard Vines model. No, that's a lie. I look like a chubby Vineyard Vines goer. Yeah, basically pick any of these guys, and this is me. I'm these guys right here. This me. So we start going, and we're driving there, and the GPS shows that we're gonna be 5 minutes late. If you know anything about me, I really strive not to be late to things. I think it's super important to be punctual. So this is a rare occurrence. And I thought, you know what? We'll be late one time in our life. Sue me, officer. I'm late one time in my life. She starts freaking out. She's going, oh, no, we're going to be late. We can't be late. And I go, we can be 5 minutes late. Okay? It's LA. Everybody's late in LA. It's how it works. Or she says to me, if you show up 15 minutes late, you lose your appointment. And that's when I realized that, okay, this place is kind of uptight. This place is kind of serious. I didn't realize it was like that. Because I thought you just pay the money, you get the service, is fine. So she calls, they're like, hey, no problem. We'll push your appointment 15 minutes so that way you can show up on time. She's like, great. So we start driving. I'm doing a couple calls where we're driving. And then we start driving through Beverly Hills. I've never driven through Beverly Hills because while we're driving through, she's explaining this thing to me. If you guys ever go to Beverly Hills, you'll see this. Just to show you how rich Beverly Hills is. Every street in Beverly Hills is lined with trees, but no two streets have the same type of tree. Every street has their own unique trees that line the roads. That's how rich it is. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, damn. I'm Googling every cool building we see along the way. There's a bunch of like insanely cool looking buildings. He's like, what's that? I look it up. I'm like, oh, historic building, it's abandoned. Oh, historic building, it's abandoned. Oh, historic building, it's abandoned. And then we finally get to our location, except it's not our location. Cutie put in the wrong address in the GPS. We went to the wrong place. And when we put in the right place, we were going to be another 10 minutes late. Okay, so we do our 10-minute detour. We finally get there. And the Beverly Hills Hotel is a very old hotel. It's over 100 years old. And they're doing renovations. So their spa is actually shut down right now. They moved their spa to like some other area that's like a far walk. So Cutie's stressed out. We're like sprinting through bungalows to finally get to the spa. And we get there with like a minute to spare. A minute before they would have canceled the actual appointment. Luckily, they were very nice. And all we need to do is sign some paperwork, which is when I'll say I'll take some blame here. I'll take accountability. I made my first mistake. Because we get to the place and there's this guy there and I strike some light conversation. I just said, how long you been working here? And he says 12 years. And I go, wow, how old are you? And he goes 35. And I was like, wow, you don't even look that old. Which in my head was like saying, you look younger than the age that you said. But what it actually comes across as is, damn, you're old as fuck. So then I lied because I realized what I said came off very rude. And I said, I'm 32. But what I forgot is I literally just filled out a form with my name and age that I handed over to the guy, which clearly says I'm in my 20s. So anyway, they bring us to the spa room. I've butchered my first interaction. And I've had a few massages before, but I don't think I've ever been to a place this fancy ever. And so they have this like private little bungalow. And if you ever had a massage, they show you a little tour of the room. And then they say, okay, you know, you can take off your clothes and go under this little blanket and then we'll come back. And I don't like going dick and balls out. I'm not a fan of going dick and balls out when I get a massage. It's probably the least European thing about me. It's the most American thing about me. So I keep it on and I go under and then I close my eyes. I'm face down. I'm in the thing. And then I get hit with the biggest cross up of my life because the lady who I'd been talking to normally up to this point comes up to me while I'm lying in the bed. Close your eyes. You are me. She walks up. She goes, is this pressure good for you? And if you hated that, you are like me. I was not a fan of the in my ear ASMR. I was not a fan of it. Now, before, we'd had a conversation in a normal speaking volume, and I told her I don't really like massages. I basically said like, hey, just so you know, I'm actually quite sensitive, and so I don't like, you know, too aggressive pressure, because she asked me, and I said, you know, I kind of like a light pressure, you know, just more of a relaxed, and she was like, sure, no problem. Or, no, sorry. She said normal. She said, sure, no problem. But the issue is when she started using her ASMR voice, because it was so jarring to me. And by the way, she's very good at her job. Not blaming her. But I just didn't like the ASMR voice. So no matter what she said, the moment the ASMR voice started, I would just say, okay. Because I didn't want a conversation. So she said, how's the pressure? I said, okay. But she was going really, really light. And I think she sensed that she was going really, really light, just maybe in the way like my body was not reacting to what she was doing. So she starts to get a bit stronger. She started adding a little more pressure. And then she goes back in my ear. Would you like me to apply more pressure? Again, didn't enjoy it. So I go, okay. And then she starts applying more pressure. This happens 2 more times. 2 more times, she asks if I want more pressure. And every time, I just say okay. Because I don't want to extend the conversation in the ASMR voice. Until the point where she goes, what I would assume is her max pressure on my legs. And now my legs are the worst part. I'm soy. I'm soy and soft when it comes to my legs, especially my knee, because I fucked it up playing basketball. They are bruised and battered. Now, normally this wouldn't be a story worth telling. Normally this is like, oh man, guy gets a massage at the Beverly Hills Hotel, has slightly too much pressure and winces in pain. That's not the problem. The problem is because it hurts so much when my bruise gets touched, I can't control my body. And in the moment when she's doing it, I'm going somewhat in and out of sleep, right? Because I'm just trying to like do nothing about anything. She hits my knee with just enough tension that I let out a little fart. Just a little one. And it wasn't audible, but I let out a little bit of ass. Okay, I put a little ass in the room. So I'm sitting there and I'm just going, just trying to see if what I have dealt out to the room is worth talking about. I'm almost trying to suck it out the air if possible. I'm trying to go Luigi's Mansion on it. Now, luckily, I don't know if it was my timing or what, but right around that moment, I don't think she noticed. She said, okay, we're all set, and then left the room. Which, now that I think about it on hindsight, was a little weird because she did leave the room about like 5 minutes before Cutie's masseuse left the room. Because we did a couples massage. We were in the same room. Cutie's masseuse did stay a little bit longer Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think she noticed. I'm 99% sure, I'm 90% sure she didn't notice. Anyway, I kind of feel like an a-hole, right? Because afterwards, it's like a fancy little spa thing. They give you like champagne with some chocolate covered strawberries. So I've farted in this girl's face. I'm sitting eating the chocolate covered strawberries. I'm spilling them all over the floor because we're sitting outside. There's no like plate. And I'm not drinking the champagne because I'm doing God mode May and I'm not drinking alcohol in the month of May. So I'm just a fucking slobbery little mess and I want out. So I go back in the spa because I need to validate our parking. Okay, I got our parking validated and you know, me and Cutie are sitting there. I'm like, let's go get lunch. The masseuse does pass me on her way out and she didn't, now that I'm thinking about it, she didn't really say hi. I guess I was the last appointment of her shift. I assumed it was because we were slightly late. I might have fucked up. Anyway, that's not the story. Because I had a goal. This is a very historic hotel. Just to give you some reference, the Beverly Hills Hotel existed before the city of Beverly Hills existed. All right, this is back in the heyday of America. This hotel started in 1911. It was built in 1912. 1914 is when they started Beverly Hills. Nobody lived in Beverly Hills. But after the Beverly Hills Hotel popped up, like thousands of people moved in, you know, over the next 10 years or whatever. So it's a very influential hotel. A lot of celebrities went there, you know, like there's the Sinatras, the Marilyn Monroes, the Elizabeth Taylors. And so, you know, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. So I had a simple goal. I wanted to see a celebrity. You know, me and the Yard guys had this challenge a couple weeks ago of who's the most famous person you could get a picture with in a week. And I'd forgotten all about it. But, you know, obviously, you know, Beverly Hills is like a famous place, right? Like the song, Weezer song, Beverly Hills, Beverly Hillbillies. Hotel California is literally about the Beverly Hills Hotel. So I figured there could be famous people there. So we go to the lunch. It's like there's this outdoor cabana place. And we sit down. And my goal was to get a picture of somebody. The moment I sit down, I pass by Tom Segura, who is leaving the Beverly Hills Hotel. But I was too big of a pussy to get up and ask for a picture. It was literally as I was walking in, he was walking out. If you don't know who it is, I don't blame you. I did have to Google his name because I did forget it, but he's the guy who does the Two Bears in a Cave podcast with Bert Kreischer. He didn't seem happy. So I was like, you know what? I'll find somebody else. We're sitting there and I'm just looking around for famous people when the server comes up to get our order. Now, I've been so busy looking at famous people, I didn't even look at the menu. But luckily, my beautiful girlfriend did for me. And she was like, oh, they have lobster roll. You love lobster roll. It's actually my favorite food. So I said, okay, I'll get the lobster roll. It's a beautiful looking lobster roll. What I didn't realize, it's a lobster roll. I don't know if you guys can see that, with caviar. Guess how much that lobster roll cost? That was $60. And let me tell you, wasn't a top 5 lobster roll I've ever had. It wasn't bad. But my God, it was like a display lobster roll. Because they didn't cut the brioche bun and pack it full of meat. The meat was like sitting on top of the bun. They don't do it like they do in New England over here. Anyways, a delicious lobster roll still. I'm not complaining. I still had a good time eating it. I'm still looking around for famous people. I see this guy with a hat who looks like he's bald underneath. I thought it was John Travolta. Turns out to just be a bald guy. But that's when I noticed. At the table next to us, the actor from Succession, Jeremy Strong. If you ever watch Succession, this guy rules. And I want to go up for a picture, but then I realized he's there with his family. I'd be a pain in the ass if I walked up and I said, hey, can I get a picture? So anyway, I didn't end up getting one. But I will say, shout out Jeremy Strong, because unnoticed by anyone else after his family left, he walked around the table and scooted in the chair of everybody in his family who left it unscooted. W Mans. He family-wide scooted. And then me and Cutie got into a little bit of a disagreement because the outdoor restaurant was right next to the pool. I could see this guy down the pool, and I looked at that guy and I went, damn, he is ripped. That's all I said. I saw his back muscles rippling at the Beverly Hills pool. He was looking good. Cutie leans over, looks at him, and he goes, he's got a dad bod. And I was like, you think that is a dad bod? And I gave her like a good 5 minutes to figure this out. And she's like, yeah, he kind of has your butt. And she stops herself. And I go, what? What were you going to say? And she goes, yeah, he kind of has your body is what I was going to say. But I realized that might make it seem like I'm saying you have a dad bod. This was insulting for so many reasons. Now, you guys might think I am mostly insulted by the fact that she said I have a dad bod. That's not even why I'm mad. I'm mad because this guy had obliques like I have never seen. Clearly, he is either taking steroids because he had a bit of a bubble gut or has been hitting the gym natty for 20 plus years. And there was so much disrespect to this damn lifter. I'm just gonna show you this. I showed this reel to Cutie and I said, do you think this guy has a dad bod? And she said, yeah, that guy has a dad bod. And I went, okay, you just don't know what a dad bod is. This guy doesn't have a dad bod. A dad bod isn't a guy who's bulking who can bench 450 fucking pounds. That guy is ripped. Okay, he's not shredded. Yeah, he has some fat on him right now. That guy is so strong. That is not a dad bod. This man has the bod of a dad. Bert Kreischer has the body of a father. This is a dad bod. It's a body that you do not have to work towards. Time works towards it for you. This guy, an absolute beast of a man. Dude, that would be like me deadass being like, yeah, she's got a mom bod. I get it. Like, yeah, it's a mom bod for sure. Doesn't make any sense. Here's the thing. If you're going to the gym as a guy, understand your time in the gym, unless you're just like trying to lose weight. If you're trying to build muscle, your time in the gym is not for girls. It's for other guys to oogle at you. Okay? And it's me. Hello, I'm other guys. And I know what it takes to get big at the gym. And I know what it takes to get shredded at the gym because I can't do that part. That part takes a level of will I don't have. And I have so much damn respect for it. Anyway, she wasn't wrong. I do have a dad bod. But that guy didn't. He was ripped. So we leave, and I'm reading about the history of this place. Who do you think owns the Beverly Hills Hotel? Yeah, some Rockefeller type, right? Some Rothschild, some old American money. It's owned by the Sultan of Brunei, which if you don't know, I don't blame you. Brunei is a small country that is completely surrounded by Malaysia and the ocean. And they are one of the few countries that are totally ruled by a dictator, completely and totally. He is their religious leader, he is their cultural leader, and he is their like presidential leader, their prime minister. The Sultan is worth several $1 billion. He's been the Sultan since he's 21. He's 78 now. I found out that several people tried to boycott the Beverly Hills Hotel because in 2014, Brunei instated Sharia law and outlawed homosexuality. But Kim Kardashian fought against it because she said, think of the workers. And then in 2019, they tried boycotting it again because they put into their law that they would stone people for homosexuality. But then the Sultan came out and he said, I know we wrote down the law. We don't actually do that. It's just written down. We don't follow it up. And so most people are like, okay. And then they moved on. And that's a little bit of history for you guys. It's an insane place. Like the stories that live in the walls of Beverly Hills Hotel, like literally, it is the reason Beverly Hills as a whole exists. And so on the way out, they have this coffee shop. It's a famous coffee shop that like Frank Sinatra used to go to. So I wanted a coffee on my way out. So I say, hey, can I just get an iced latte? And I'm sitting there watching this guy make me an iced latte. He gets a cup. Then he pulls out of a fridge a bottle of cold brew, pulls the cold brew in the cup, goes into the fridge, gets a gallon of 2% Lucerne milk, pours the Lucerne milk in my cup, then has the audacity to turn the card reader to me with $11.50 as the amount I'm supposed to pay. And for the first time, and this is not a joke, for the first time in 6 years, I hit no tip on the tip screen. Because that's not a latte. A latte is an espresso. That's what it is. You put milk in an espresso, and when it's iced, you throw ice in that bitch. That's what a latte is. That's just what it is. It's not cold brew with milk. That's a different drink. And as I do it, Cutie, my better conscience, gives me a fucking little... I'm sitting there going, what? Look at what he made. I'm trying to mouth it. Look at what he made. And as I go to pay, karma gets me. My card is declined. So I have to go through the process again with a different card, and I didn't have the balls to click no tip a second time. I tipped like fucking 25% on it. I tipped 25% on my dog shit fucking coffee. And then we go outside, and I pull out my validated parking, and they come over, and Cutie's like, fuck, I don't have cash to tip. And I go, it's all right, I'll handle it. It might be a bit of an awkward exchange because I have free validated parking, but you know, whatever, I'll figure it out. The guy comes over with our car finally, and he goes, that'll be $22. And I go, sorry, you must be mistaken. I have validated parking. There's a stamp on the back of my parking ticket. And he goes, oh, no, I saw it. When you validate your parking, it takes $3 off the price of the valet. That's just not what the word means. Then you don't call it validating. I don't feel validated when 90% of my payment is still up to me to pay. You did 10% of the work. That's not validation. That's no more validation than Cutie saying I got a dad bod. So luckily, I was very easy to tip him because I had to pay with card anyway. I can only count my blessings. I didn't tell them I was Gamer of the Year, so I didn't get stoned live in front of everybody at the Beverly Hills Hotel. But it was an eye-opening experience. Obviously, I'm hyping this up a bit. I'm being a bit Larry David here. But this was a very beautiful hotel. But behind all the sheen of it, you do have your $3 validation coupon. You have your cold brew lattes. And you also have the kind of people that come to this place. Sometimes it's a Jeremy Strong. And other times it is the group of people who were right behind me and Cutie. There's this guy. He walks in. He's clearly nervous because he trips on like a stone pillar that hasn't moved for the 100 years this place has been up as his waitress is bringing him to his table. And me and Cutie both kind of noticed that. And Cutie, you know, if you don't know much about her, she is a full-time eavesdropper. So she says, listen to the conversation going on behind you. I start to listen for a bit. And it's a guy talking to a private investigator about tracking his wife's movements because they're going through a divorce and he doesn't want her to get any of his assets. So he's trying to find that she has been adultering, cheating on him. And that's the type of people that are also in the Beverly Hills. Behind the sheen of it all, man, you got massively, massively rich people who maybe seem like they have it all from the outside in, right? You drive by, you're looking at this, you're like, it's fucking awesome. This is paradise. But you dig a little deeper under the surface and you realize sometimes people are rich and fucking miserable. So anyway, that was my experience at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And if you ever come to LA, it's worth driving through Beverly Hills, if only to see their tree-lined streets. It's definitely worth a drive through. Rated on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it 1 2 out of 10, man. We made it stink.
Is this pressure gun for you?
Oh!
Is this pressure gun for you?
Oh!
Is this pressure gun for you?